What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pasty-T Garage. Today we got a new car, a 1993 Nissan Skyline. Yes, you heard that correct, a Nissan Skyline. Let me go ahead and prove to you. Nissan Skyline. So yeah, this is my 93 Skyline 4-door sedan. It's equipped with a RB20 DET engine, mating to a 5-speed manual transmission, and this has kind of been my baby for the past year or so. And today we're going to be installing a Solo Baric L7 subwoofer in this nice little compact case, along with an amp to go with it and the wiring. So we're going to go ahead and do that because I already have all the rest of the component speakers hooked up. Back here you can see the little speaker grills. I installed new speakers for the back and the front and the doors. But we're going to go ahead and add that because we need a little bit of rumble to our system. So I hope y'all are excited about coming on this journey with me, and I'm going to walk you through all the steps on how to install an amplifier, the wiring, subwoofer, and everything like that. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is kind of get all of our trim pieces put up and move some stuff out of the way. What I'm going to have to do is we're going to need to remove the rear seat. We're going to need to remove all these door sill protectors, pull this piece out of the way. In the trunk, what I'm going to want to do is remove all of the trunk lining so that I can get access to exactly where I want the wires to route, because we're going to route the wiring first. The door sill holders or protectors just have these little screws that kind of pop in and out. They're not too bad to remove. We just kind of have to keep the pressure off of them as you're unscrewing them, because the threads aren't really super tight, so they don't just back out on their own. See, that one's giving me a little issue, but that's okay. Kind of get them pried up a little bit. And then there is another piece here. We may not be going through this way, but I'm going to go ahead and just leave all my options available. And then all the hardware I'm just going to kit in the floorboard. That way I know that it's related to where we're working. I can't get that one out. We're gonna get a small baby screwdriver. Yeah, that one doesn't want to back out very well, so it's okay. We'll pry this one up a little bit. Put a little bit of pressure on this to back it out. Hopefully it cooperates. There we go. There we go. A little bit of finesse. Comes right up. Okay. The big pieces we're just going to put underneath the car. Pull the carpet back. Okay, because we just want to have room to route the wiring where the carpet is. I'll go ahead and move my seat forward as much as it can go. Work on the back windowsill. Feels like it's an actual bolt. Oh, it's just an empty hole. Huh, interesting. I guess I didn't have a bolt there. Okay, well. These pieces pry out. As you can see, they just pop out. Pocket screwdriver is probably not the best. Should probably use my trim removal tool. Let me grab that. Nice little trim removal tool for popping out pieces of trim. Makes it a little easier. Alright. So that's out of the way. I'm going to put that under the car. Bump. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Alright, so the next step is to remove the rear seat. Now the rear seat clips, it's going to be hard to see, but there's like a clip somewhere in here. You can feel it with your hand. It's right here. And you have to press that to pull up, and then it slides out. So I'm going to get a little help, a little persuasion. Alright, we're gonna do a plan B. Since I'm having immense difficulty getting the back seat out, you can see, you can probably see some light shining through. So I took part of the trunk of a light shining through so that I can see that there is a gap that I can run the wires. So I'm gonna go ahead and take both sides of the trunk apart. Again, I'm using a trim removal tool because these are tight, which is good. You can hear them popping to get out. As I bump my camera 100 times. So yeah, just wedging in between the carpeted trunk liner and these little pop pieces to pull them out. It's imperative not to break them. I'm actually going to put these over here. Should probably put them out there. This just kind of pulls out. Kind of getting stuck. Really don't want to break it, so I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this as well, just to give me more leverage to get it out. What are you hung up on? Oh. What the hell are you hung up on? There. Move this out of the way and I'll show y'all what I found. So, there's a tab back here. This little metal tab that holds the piece in place. So don't rip it or else that piece will rip. Alright, so I'm going to shine the light at that just to verify. Yeah, we have light through here. So we're going to route the power cable through this end. Now what I have to say, I've never used Rockville products before, but their wiring is extremely flexible, and that's kind of neat. Alright. Where did that light go? Alright, we're going to see if we can see the cable from that end to pull through. Not quite. I think I'm going to have to fish it using a coat hanger or something, because it's not going to be tight enough to push through. Oh well. Probably help if it actually stayed in the hole. Okay, I do see it. Oh, that's perfect. We're going to try to grab it. Like I said, the rear seat was not my best friend. Okay, good. Now that we've got a little bit out of the way, we're going to pull it almost all the way through. So what we want is to get to our battery. So we're going to route it through the interior, and then, so this firewall is something different than I've seen. There's not a giant amount of access points other than, let me get my light. Sorry, bulkhead. Can't call it firewall anymore because it doesn't prevent fires from spreading. So there's the plate down there for the clutch cable, but there's really not a whole lot of areas. There's the heater core, hoses, you know, there's throttle cable. What I found is this area right here is a good little area to route additional wires through. You can see that there's room. So have to go in your fender, because there's the other side, and then go through this boot, which goes through this little footwell area. So what I'm going to simulate is it going down, up through, and then to the cable. So we're going to get a little bit more, because again, we have plenty of wire. We're going to grab about another foot. We'll leave this piece of it in here because our amp's going to hook up basically right there. So looks like we have plenty of wire. Go ahead and pull that a little bit. And then just to prevent any sort of electrical issues, we'll leave it down here. I'm going to disconnect the battery before I can do any wiring. I'm just running the cables right now. So on the other side, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to push the wires through that hole underneath where the seat belt is, because these component cables are going to hook to the back of our radio. This one's probably going to be a little trickier because this is a bigger set of wires, so this one I may have to fish through separately. I don't know if they're gonna play as nice. Let's have a lot more slack. Maybe I can get lucky. Oh, okay. I may have gotten lucky. Yeah, that's what's up. That is what's up. Okay, so for all of you that are struggling to get the seat out, if you're running some simple wire, know that there's that little seat belt area. Got plenty. Again, we're probably gonna pull most of it because the trunk doesn't need that much wiring. Because basically where we're connecting this is the back of the radio under the dash. Now there's one more wire to run, but that one's extremely thin, and that's for the signal wire for when you turn the radio on. Alright, so that should be enough for that. And got our signal wire right here. We're going to run this on the same side as the component wires because it's super thin, so it won't take up that much more real estate. I'll try to push it through. Hopefully we get lucky. Seems like it's feeding through just fine. Alright, there, so it doesn't pull back out. Let's see what we got. Okay, good. Mission success. If I can grab it. Alright, good. There's our remote cable. Again, we're going to pull most of that through. Not all of it though. Alright. That should be good enough. And this again is going to route to the back of the radio. So your radio, when you wire it up, or if it's factory wired, has a what they call a signal wire, and basically after your car turns on, then it relays power to the radio so that your radio will then turn on, right? Because basically you want it to where the amp isn't fired up the entire time the battery's connected, is the purpose. Alright, so now we got that. Plenty of wire to go through. We'll clean this up. Of course, you know, we're going to put the trim back. We're going to hide this little bit away, put it underneath the carpet, that kind of stuff. But I'm just glad we routed the wiring. So now we have all our wires back here, except for the ground, which the ground we're going to put on, we're going to find a good ground. Basically, you want something that doesn't have any paint. It's connected to like the body. So we should have plenty back here. So one thing I have to say, and I know many of you will agree with me on this, is that it's a little nerve-wracking to remove trim pieces from a 25-plus-year-old car. And the fact that these come out and they still seem a little supple, like the plastic isn't brittle, I'm just super impressed with that. Alright, so we're going to put that there. This piece has a single clip holding it now. Actually two. Again, I'm just trying to find a good ground for the amp. They say to connect it no more than 5 feet away from the amp, but I don't think there's anywhere in this trunk that's 5 feet away, so basically don't run the ground all the way back to the battery is their recommendation. There we go. Okay. Pulls right out. Put that over here. Eek. Take out my trim pieces. Move those. Put them into a little bucket. So one thing that I highly recommend And I don't know how many of you may just have a bunch of these containers floating around. But like, got some rice. Your little rice container. Clean it out. Drop all your trim in. Boom. Mission accomplished. You don't have to worry about where your trim is. Alright, so now, next step is to pull apart the center console so we can get the back of the radio connected. Once we get the back of the radio connected, then I can start pulling my wires back. Actually, disconnect the battery. That's the next step. I believe it's a 10 millimeter. Power off. We are connecting the power, and since it gives us a little spade connector, we're going to put it on this terminal. Okay, so this does come out all the way. So what I'm going to do, since this is kind of a dual terminal, like has two little spades that come out of it, I'm going to put the connector in between there. But for the time being, I'm going to get this and wrap it in a shop rag to prevent any sort of battery voltage drop where I don't want it. Alright, so remove that, set that there. Another cool thing I like, and I personally wouldn't get any sort of battery connectors unless you have an inline fuse, because you want that to blow before any of your components take the heat. Alright, so these are our, yeah, that's way too small. But might be able to squeeze it in there somehow. Squeeze it in here. I don't know. What I was hoping is I could squeeze it right in here, but I don't know if that's gonna connect to the battery well enough. It may. Kind of have it like that. It may be what I do. Yeah, it might be alright. We'll try that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is get our two terminals, and then we're going to get these two connected to our battery and ground. These damn zip ties just want everything to fly out. So make sure you put your rubber boot on first, or else you won't be able to squeeze it past this. So what it says is get a 1/2 inch, remove the insulation a 1/2 inch out, and then crimp this on. So we're going to get our crimper tool. Again, we're going to put our boot on, slide it over. Make sure we have enough. Alright, so we're going to measure. It's about 1/2 inch. What I'm going to do is make a little impression right here. And then I just like walk it back and forth in the groove until it penetrates the shield. And then I just kind of twist. You don't want to put too much force, because if it slips, it can cut you. And as everybody probably knows, has worked with razor blades before, they are very sharp. That's the point. Right, so now that that's done, make sure that our wire is fully trimmed. Just kind of pull it off. Okay. Now I always try to twist the ends of it. These are a little thick, but you want as many pieces of wire to contact as possible. So that's on. So now I'm just gonna squeeze the hell out of this. I'm gonna do a squeeze up here, and then a squeeze back here. Because you don't want this accidentally pulling out should your sub shift at all. Alright, now that that's on, I'm going to pull the shield. Oh, I guess the shield can come off. Don't pull too hard. because you're going to want this to, you know, cover any exposed wire. That's the whole point. There's that end. So the other end, the amp basically just has it go directly into the amp and then screws down with an Allen key. So again, we're going to measure about 1/2 inch. I will say, be extremely careful when you're using razor blades, when you're working around electricity, that kind of stuff, because this stuff can kill you. Razor blades, I mean, you may not die, but you could gouge your finger pretty bad, and nobody wants to deal with that. You don't want to go to the hospital because you're trying to install an amp, right? We've got our ground cable all ready to go. We've got our power cable cut, and we have all of our wiring routed through the car to the front. Next step is to remove the wheel, because we need to get this cable through the firewall, bulkhead, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to get my jack, and I'm going to go ahead and start that process so that I can get the wire run. Alright, so we're going to push the wire through here, and then we're going to push it through this little grommet. As you can see, that just kind of pops out. Really easy. Oh, that's all messed up too. I'm going to fix that while we're here. But right now, our goal is to push the wire through here, get it through that grommet, and fix this little piece right there. So that's what we're going to do. We'll fix this part first. Try to. Seems a little small for that hole. Oh well. Alright, so now we're going to push power wire through here. Open the door back up. Move our seat back. Where are you? Yeah, so with this panel. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so you can kind of see where we want the power wire to go. It's back there. So I'm going to hope that I can just push it through. I may not be able to, but we'll see if we get lucky. Yeah. Pull this back out. Okay, so we're going to pull a decent amount through. Like I said, our main goal is to get it in here. First thing we're going to do is cut into this a little bit. That's a little thicker than I was expecting. Jeez, man. Okay. Come on. This is extremely tight. How much slack do we have? Good amount. Guess I overcame that hurdle. Okay. Push it through here. And voila. Okay. Power cable, mostly routed. What I may do is zip tie it to the throttle cable, and then, I don't know, we'll figure that out later. But right now, we at least have the power cable routed enough. We're going to put this block back. Okay. Feels like that's set decent enough. So now we're going to push the cable back through. Put two up here. Put two around this loom. Watch your splash shield. Come on. I may not need to remind some people, but it's always good to remember to torque your wheels after you put them on. Because you don't want to sit there and be driving down the highway and find your wheel has passed you. And again, my car didn't come with fender liners. So, anybody out there has some fender liners for a R32 Sedan, if that matters, have them shoot me a message because kind of looking for some. Cool. And now, I know this isn't a torque wrench, and I'm not using this to torque, but I'm just going to use it to tighten a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. That part's done. Okay, next step is getting the power wire routed all the way through the car. So what I might have to do is move this module out of the way. I can't remember. This car used to be an automatic transmission vehicle. So one side has the transmission module, the other side has the engine module. Like I said, I can't remember which one's which. Whoever did the swap did a fantastic job. I'm not saying that because I did the swap. I didn't do the swap. I bought the car and it was swapped, but like I said, whoever did it did a fantastic job. Alright, so we're going to disconnect the connector. Get the wire routed. Now this might be a little difficult because this wire's thick, but what you want to do is make sure the carpet fits back. So we're going to have to push it underneath the carpet. Since it is thick, I'm actually going to have that a little bit just do it completely underneath. Okay. I need to remove the anchor for the seat belt so I can get it around there. Or I could just pull the wire out, push it back through. That might be easier. Here's where things are going to get a little tricky. Because what we're going to want to do is hide the wire behind the seat. As best as we can. Not terrible. I'm going to try to move that a little bit in. Maybe better. Alright. Got a power wire routed. Got a little bit extra, but that's okay. We can tuck that in. So we're going to put our weather stripping back. Put our panel back. Actually, let me put that piece in there first. This piece. Alright, driver's side put back together. Alright, time for the passenger side. Which we've already got the wires run. We just need to connect it to the back of the battery. So, we gotta remove center console, trim, in order to remove the center console, for those of you unfamiliar, you need to remove the shift boot. Where's my... Come on. There we go. Gotta remove the shift boot. The ashtray, which my ashtray is modified a little bit because I have a sensor I need to put in, but it's not right now. So that pulls up. It's got these little feet that go on the back for your shift boot. That is down. We're gonna move that up. So you have screws here that I have in my glove box, and then you have other screws that are behind this bezel. So it's got these pieces that pop up right here. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this, and then it's got other pieces that pop kind of, you got to be a little careful, behind the back. Like I said, old cars tend to be brittle, so kind of finesse that out of there. I don't even know. Put this back here, this trim. Alright, so now to remove the radio, you can see there's 4 little screws back here, 6 at 10 millimeters, or actually I'm going to use the screwdriver since it's magnetic. Now that those 6 screws are removed, this bracket's going to pull out with the little cubby, and I guess we are just pulling this off anyways. Okay, so this has 4 little feet that kind of pop on. There we go. These little feet right here kind of clip in, and put that off to the side. Pull this all the way out. Now it's kind of a mess back here. A lot of wires. But, oh, pulled our microphone out. That's not good. Organize this a little bit better. Don't want a microphone getting pulled out all the time. That's a easy wire. Alright, so as you see, I kind of have this zip tied out of the way. So I'm gonna cut that zip tie. But what I want is the 2 wires for the subwoofer, which are going to be part of this little system. So set that down. But what we're going to do first is route these wires behind everything. I'm actually going to remove my glove box. It's got two Phillips heads that connected at the bottom. So I need to find the wire that is to the subs. I'm going to remove this zip tie. Put another one in its place so I can have that kind of some wires out of the way. Like I said, it's kind of a mess back here. There's a lot of wires. Alright, so audio input. Pretty sure that's what I want. Oh, subwoofer output. That's what I want. Just make sure. Video input, rear monitor output, and I don't know what those are. I think I want the subwoofer output. So I'll go ahead and remove these caps so I know that's what I want to control, plug into. And then the rest of them I'm just going to kind of zip tie up. So we're going to have our component cables into it. First things first, remove the glove box. Again, there's two Phillips heads that I can't seem to find. Once those two are removed, you can unclasp the front the thing that just kind of falls out. So we're gonna put that over here. Okay, now that we have that removed, get this trim out of the way, we're gonna route everything up and through that opening now. It'd be really easy to just grab the wires and just route it through. And since these are pretty thin, we're going to have them down towards the bottom. Kind of zip tie them in there. Yeah, so we don't need that much slack. We'll have that there. And of course we got our remote wire, or our when the radio turns on, the amp will turn on. Signal wire. This one I can tighten up all the way because it's not going to be moving with the mounting, but right now we're just testing all the wiring. I've already tested the power and the ground to make sure that I have power back here, ground back here. Just come on, twist, twist, twist. We're just testing to make sure that the reference signal wire works. And one thing that I forgot to install that I did kind of behind the scenes, if you will, was the remote wiring. Alright, so there's that. So yeah, there's this this remote wire that I went ahead and ran, and that just plugs in on this side of the amp right here. We're gonna clean this all up. I'm just mainly just testing everything right now to make sure that it's good. And then we got our reference wire right here. We may trim this one to fit, but for now we're just gonna go ahead and trim the insulation off. Kind of hard to get in there. You got the giant power and ground. Well, giant comparatively, obviously. There's 0 and double 0 gauge wire, but okay, everything's tight. Then I have my positive and negative. I believe I hit the black on the red, although this doesn't really show. So we're gonna adjust the input here. We'll swap these if it doesn't work out. Okay, I believe we're ready to connect the battery. Ow. Connect the battery and then test to make sure that we have power and ground. Alright, always remember to keep the car. Check the car, make sure it's out of gear. So the radio is working. Oh yeah, I installed the, good lord, that is bright. So I installed the bass controller back here, and it's got this way too bright English. Okay, so we're just gonna put radio on. Maybe in radio. I'm gonna enable subwoofer. Subwoofer's on. Okay. Now we're just gonna go check to see if it's working. But like I said, we got the okay, so the amp has power, but the sub doesn't seem like it's working really well. I can feel it moving. Maybe I'll switch these. Could just be that the radio has a really bad signal. Could be that everything's turning really low. It is at min level. So I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. I can feel it moving. So obviously I need to adjust a lot of the settings to make sure that it sounds real good, and this suspension is super stiff still, so it's not going to get a whole bunch of the vibration that a broken-in sub would already have. So I mean, I read that the break-in period that Kicker recommends for their Solo Barics is about 8 hours at a medium volume. And since I don't drive this car very often, 8 hours is going to take quite a while. So what I might do is just, you know, pick a couple days to go drive it, just for like, you know, 30 minutes, an hour. That way I can break in the sub, but everything is working. All the power, all the wiring, all that stuff's working. It's definitely able to be manipulated through the radio, so that's awesome. Wanted to kind of show you all the ground that I made over here. Let me see if I can get a light on that. You can kind of see the ground right there. Basically, I just took an existing hole and scuffed some of the paint away, put some dielectric grease on it, and then ran the ground to the you know, to the cables that you can see right there. So easy peasy. But now that I have the battery disconnected, I can go ahead and remove all the cables except for this and go ahead and get it mounted up. So another thing I wanted to show y'all is you can see these brackets over here, and I have a bracket on each side. That's going to line up with these holes in the back. Let me see if I can get the camera. So these holes are almost exactly the same width as this sub box. So there might be a little bit of movement that I'm going to need to do. And then I have this all thread kind of set up, and I'm going to have these brackets, and I'm going to clean all this stuff up, but with some washers and everything. And basically that's how I'm going to use to mount it. So kind of cool. Just wanted to give y'all an update what's going on right now. I'm going to go ahead and put all the interior of the trunk back together so that I can get, you know, all that going, and then I can get this mounted, because we know the wiring works. So basically we just need to mount it and then get everything set up with the equalizer. Awesome. Well, everybody, we are done with the amp install, and I'm super excited about being able to have a little bit of boom in my system. So I just wanted to go ahead and show y'all what we got. So here's the amp and the sub all hooked up. You can see back there, a little difficult to see, I have a bracket that's connected from the sub box to the chassis of the car. On the other side I have the same thing, and you can see the wires are a little tucked behind everything. One unfortunate thing is, just because these trim panels in the trunk sit so flush, I went ahead and made a little escape hole for the wires to go through. just so I can have my carpet and everything back in. But as you can see, most of the trunk retains its original form, so I'm very happy about that. The amp was pretty easy to install. I would say that the hardest part was just figuring out how I wanted to route the wiring and all that kind of stuff. But as far as it mounting directly to the box and the box in the trunk, it's a great fit. You can see that I still have a lot of trunk space left, which is good because I didn't want to take up my entire trunk space. Plus, R32 trunks are a little shallow. I think it's about 11.5 inches maybe to your rear wiper little cover, which is this right here. And I wanted to make sure that I could retain my rear wiper because I use it all the time. So I'm really happy that I was able to get the sub to fit in there. As you can see, I still have a little bit of the interior to put back together, but all the wires are tucked away. Got to put back, my shift boot and all that kind of stuff, but super easy install. As far as around the radio, very happy with that. And here's the power wire. Got it routed through that little grommet in the back that you can see. So yeah, overall, very happy with the process. I do feel like it wasn't that bad to work with. What I do need to do next is break it in. Again, Kicker recommends about 8 hours of break-in period at a medium level, and then they say full break-in normally occurs after 16 hours. So that'll take me a little while since I don't drive this car all the time. But once it's broken in, then I can really crank up the volume and the gain and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be neat, so I can really see how heavy this thing hits. So I'm very excited about that. The suspension on the cone is very, very tight, which is fine. I'd rather it be a little tight than loose. So that's about it for me. If y'all have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. Let me know what y'all think if y'all have done a sort of sub install on your car, and kind of some of the complications or the trial and error stuff that y'all had to figure out, because there was definitely a lot of trial and error as far as mounting this thing. So that's going to do it for me for this episode of Pasty-T Garage. Again, this is a sub and amp install on a 1993 Nissan Skyline Sedan. Very excited about this. Once it's broken in and I can actually fine tune everything, I'm very excited to hear how it sounds. So I hope you're all looking forward to more videos on the Skyline. I am going to be doing some more videos on it, so please stay tuned for that. But until then, we will see you in the next video.